Hey class, I'm Victoria Carter. I'm going to be talking with you today about two dissertations regarding Vietnam War veterans. This is a popular topic among historians, and it's not a surprise that you can find quite a few dissertations done on this topic. The two I'll be comparing and looking at today, the first is by Abigail Elizabeth Buchanan. Hers is titled Toxic Denial and the Struggle for Recognition. It focuses on the effects of Agent Orange on Vietnam veterans and the lack of recognition from the country they served. The other one we'll be looking at is called The Ones You Sent by Thomas A. Cossentino. It is argues that the healing and war trauma was as much from returning home and the social and cultural constraints as it was individual and psychological. So let's dive right into these two. So as mentioned, Buchanan's dissertation is titled Toxic Denial and Struggle for Recognition. It focuses on the experience of U.S. Veterans and U.S. Vietnam veterans and the struggle for recognition and care from the country they serve. She claims that scientific information has been manipulated to hide the vast array of medical issues caused by Agent Orange exposure. Buchanan also discusses that Vietnam veterans who work together to expose the true effects and to gain support and to build a sense of community among each other. This 238-page dissertation was for Buchanan's PhD in anthropology from Michigan State University. Buchanan uses 180 sources. Unfortunately, a majority of these sources were not primary. Her sources were books and recently published journal articles. It would have been nice to see more interviews and primary sources in her work. As well as that, in addition to the lack of primary sources, the dissertation does read somewhat one-sided. Buchanan admits herself that a majority of her thesis is based on her grandfather's experience as a Vietnam War veteran. Additionally, she fails to explore the flip side of the coin. What about those who feel as though Agent Orange numbers and effects were exaggerated? First one that comes to mind is B.G. Burkitt and Glenna Whitley, their work Stolen Valor. Burkitt and Whitley both argue that the effects of Agent Orange were greatly exaggerated. While this would not support Buchanan's thesis, I think it's important to look at the opposing side to defend your argument better. Overall, Buchanan does a good job of arguing that Vietnam veterans did not receive the support they deserved and needed from the side effects of Agent Orange, and the dissertation is easy to read and well organized. Now, the second dissertation, The Ones You Sent, American Veterans and Legacies of the Vietnam War by Thomas A. Cossentino. Cossentino completed this dissertation for his Doctor of Philosophy for Rutgers. Cossentino argues that the healing of war trauma is as much social and cultural as it is individual and psychological. He argues that the response of those back home shared as much responsibility, if not more responsibility, than the actual traumas of the war. His thesis differs greatly from Buchanan. In addition, his 359-page dissertation has 337 references, with the majority of those sources being primary. Rather than focus on journal articles and analysis of speeches, films, social responses, he focused on oral history, interviews, and public statements from the veterans themselves. While his development and analysis of these sources is strong, his thesis does leave the reader wondering a little bit what he's trying to argue. It lacks the organization and the direct dialect that Buchanan offers in her argument. While working on our own dissertations, I think it's important as historians that we study what others do well, things that they could improve on, and so in turn, hopefully it makes us better and our dissertation stronger. Thanks, everybody.